What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today we are on the test server here, and we will be playtesting the brand new upcoming Christmas fusion champion, Yukimasa the Demon of Ice. So it's going to be a brand new Shadowkin champion here. It's already in the game in the test server, of course. We'll check out his kit here. Where is he? He's a Force Affinity. There he is. So Yukimasa Demon of Ice. So he's Force Affinity attack-based Shadowkin champion. Look at his base stats here. 1600 base attack. Very, very nice. 101 base speed. 63 crit damage. He is a damage dealer, so it's good to have all the damage stats there. Let's check out his kit here. If you're not familiar, he's got an A1 AoE, 25% chance. When fully booked, it's going to be 40% chance of landing block active skills. Block active skills is very, very powerful. It can lock out mythicals from transforming, so it's very strong. Debuff's only a 40% chance when fully booked, but it's there. It's an AoE as well. This debuff cannot be resisted if there's at least one enemy under stun, freeze, sleep, fear, true fear, provoke, and petrification. One enemy makes it a little bit easier, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the enemy that you're trying to land block active skills on, which is very nice. So the activator is a little bit more lenient. So that's a good thing. Instantly activates this skill when this champion skips a turn because of any of this hard CC stuff. Damage is based on attack. So pretty good A1, to be honest, even though it's only 4% chance to land the block active skill, is still pretty good. And the threat of this happening whenever he misses a turn is very, very real. Let's check out his A2 here. 4-turn cooldown when fully booked is down to 3 turns. He gets you get some debuff chance and some extra damage from books here. Attacks all enemies. Another AoE. Will ignore block damage. That's awesome. Has 100% chance when fully booked of placing freeze on all enemies for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted if there's at least one enemy under stun, freeze, sleep, fear, true fear, provoke, and petrification. Again, the same condition to bypass the accuracy requirement here. That's really, really good. It also revives 1 random ally. This is something that I missed on my first read and assessment of this guy. It's actually a random ally. So revive a random ally, 50% HP and 50% turn meter if this skill did not kill an enemy. Revive all allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter if this skill kills at least one enemy. Now, the upside is pretty huge, obviously. It's very unlikely, though, that an attack-based damage dealer would be the last one standing to be the reviver for your team. So that condition is actually not easy to get value from. However, we know that a random kill plus revive is very, very powerful in terms of swinging the fight. So having this condition is very, very strong. And you obviously still guarantee you can at least revive 1 ally when you use this ability on a 3-turn cooldown. It's still very good, even if it's random. Very, very high value ability. His A3, Stains the Snow, 4-turn cooldown. 3 turns when fully booked. All damage in books. Attacks 1 enemy. Before attacking, steal all turn meter from the target. This effect cannot be resisted if there's at least 1 enemy under, so it's the same condition. Also equalizes the target's defense with this champion's defense for this attack. So we confirm with Plarium that it only applies for his 1 attack, but it also works on bosses, which is a little bit interesting. Effectively, it works like ignore defense because his defense will be very low, and then you're just bringing down the enemy's defense down to his level, which basically works like an ignore defense. But the damage inflicted by the skill also increases by the amount of turn meter stolen. This is pretty wild ability. Obviously, it can deal a lot of damage if you steal a lot of turn meter, and then you basically chop off a bunch of the defense, and then you go in for the big smack. So it'd be really interesting to see how hard this hit on his A3. Check out his passive here. Fills this champion's turn meter by 50% whenever this champion skips a turn because of the hard CC stuff. Similar passive to Ancora, but she's a reviver and she's a support champion, and this guy is a damage dealer. I mean, getting the extra turn meter makes him more of a threat, which is really good. However, it's hard to get value from because he's a damage dealer. He might not survive the first hit, for example, or getting CC'd for the first time. But it could be a little bit of extra value. Whenever this champion skips a turn because of one of those debuffs, their next active skill will ignore 50% of the target's defense. Active skill, so you have to use the ability. Can't be a counterattack or anything like that. And yeah, if that happens, that's pretty insane. But again, having a attack-based damage dealer with 15k base HP try to survive 1 extra turn while being hard CC to get an attack in. It might be a little bit difficult, but yeah, we'll have to see about that. Attack in arena battles only. You know, it looks pretty okay. Like his stats look fine. There's no crazy, you know, neutering of his stats to make him in line with his crazy skills. His skills have tons of value just by reading it. Is A1 great, A2 great, A3 is awesome as well. So we're gonna have to see him in action to give a better assessment. I'm gonna build him out and we'll check out what he can do. All right, folks, here is my Yukimasa. We're going to put him in the regular lethal stone skin build just so he can play in the arena. Definitely stone skin to try to keep him alive for one turn so that he can get an attack in here. We'll just check out his base stats here. 36k HP, not too much HP from the gear here. He also is running with no blessing, so I'm just going to run him in his base stats here. 7k attack, 2.2k defense, 291 speed, 263 crit damage. Accuracy, I didn't really focus on accuracy. You can kind of see we only have 94 accuracy from gear, so not too much accuracy there. And I don't intend to run him with accuracy. This is more of a damage build, but I think 200 can still debuff some champions in the arena. So all you really need is just one debuff to land, and then you'll fulfill the conditions for the irresistible debuffs. If you don't have another CC champion to run him with to fulfill that condition, perhaps you can build him with a little bit more accuracy. Maybe 300 might be okay. Switch out the attack banner for an accuracy banner, for example. I still think like a hybrid build would be pretty good on him, just in case he doesn't land the you know, the CC condition to make his debuffs irresistible. I'm going to show you guys the stats here on some of the gear. You're just looking for speed, accuracy. Accuracy as a secondary stat, and then attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage. Basically standard stuff here. Yeah, we're just gonna show you guys here real quick. Decent pieces here. Got some nice glyphs on them and all that. We did go with the merciless banner here for some extra attack. Got a 5-star amulet and a 5-star ring. No relic. You can definitely run a relic on him. Something that boosts his damage would be pretty nice. Wand makes a little bit of sense as well. You get speed and accuracy, or HP and accuracy from the wand. In terms of blessing, you're probably looking for lightning cage to protect the stone skin from getting ripped off. Otherwise, you're probably looking for additional damage. So it could be 6-star crushing ren, could be Reaper, for example. They all kind of work for him as a damage dealer. In terms of the masteries here, this is the basic kind of nuker masteries here. We did go down the support tree. I don't think the defense tree you get too much value from. Like the retribution and the deterrence are pretty good because his A1 is pretty good, but he's not going to get he's like, for a damage dealer, you're not going to get this to go off very often because usually one hit's just going to kill the guy. So you're not going to get too much value there. This one you could get a little bit of value, I guess. But in any case, we did go down the support tree. I do like the support tree a little bit. Sniper here gives you an extra 5% chance to land the block actives, which is very good. So it's up to 45%. And then the Master Hexer will increase the block actives if you land them. And for testing purposes, I'm going to leave off Helm Smasher and we'll put it back on after the testing is done. So these are my stats on my Yukimasa here. Let's bring him out and then do some damage testing on him and see how well his multipliers stack up. All right, guys, in we go into Dragon, and we're going to test out the first wave here. We brought Lydia in the lead. We're going to go decrease defense and weaken. We don't have attack up. We don't have any relics or anything crazy like that. We don't even have Helm Smasher, so there's just less RNG involved here. So we're going to test out his A2 here first, and this is the big AoE attack with the ignore block damage and then the revive ability. So let's test it out here. All right, doesn't look too crazy. Let's check out the overall damage here. We got 389. Let's go back in here again. We're going to do a couple runs here. 389 is the first hit with the Yukimasa A2. Gonna go for the A2 again. Let's have a look. 389 should be pretty low RNG. 374. Okay, so we have a rough range, 74 and 89. So we're gonna say about 380 right now. All right, it's about 380 with decreased defense and weaken. Yeah, about 374. So we'll say about 380 for the A2. Mark that down. And then we can test out his A3 as well, set a baseline for damage. Let's check out the Chagar here. So the Chagar, I took a look at his base defense, and his base defense is about 7,400. So we're going to bring down his base defense down to 2,200. down to 2200, and then he's already has the decreased defense here as well. And Yukimasa does have lethal set on, so he does have more ignore defense. So a lot of his defense is basically gone. So he started with 7400. He's losing 60% from the decreased defense. He's losing ignore defense as well. So a lot of it's gone. And then we get turn meter boost here, about 45% turn meter boost. Let's slow it down for the cameras. Let's check out his A3 here. So damage increased by turn meter stolen. And then we do the equalizing of the defense. Let's take a look at what he can do. Slow it down and boom, 167. Okay, so 167. We're gonna go back in and do it a couple more times. But yeah, looks okay-ish. But it is a single target hit, so it's kind of not that great. Let's hit again. 172. So 167, 172. Not much variable range because we took away Helm Smasher. Just good for testing. And then we'll do this again, and boom, 160. So 160 to 172. I want to say 165 here for the A3. 165. All right, so now we get a rough baseline for his damage. We're going to test him out against a comparable damage dealer. And then since we know the comparable damage dealers' multipliers, we can kind of estimate where his multipliers end up. All right, guys, this time we're going to test Sun Wukong. So we're going to use Sun Wukong here as the comparable to Yukimasa, and then we'll see how well his multipliers stack up against Sun Wukong. So here are the stats on Sun Wukong. 7k attack, 278 crit damage. So it's 15 crit damage more and like 50 attack more. The 4-star blessing here, we gave him Cracking Roots. He does gain the stats from it, but he doesn't gain any additional damage bonuses. He has no relics. And the masteries are basically the same, except for Flawless Execution, which is just crit damage anyways. So Wukong has very slightly more stats. He has the same ignore defense as well, just one lethal set. And based on Hell Hades optimizer, Hell Hades website, we know that his A2, his single target hit, is a 5x attack, and then his A3 is a 3.8x attack. So we can kind of deduce what kind of multipliers Yukimasa actually has when we compare it to a known multiplier like Wukong here. So let's jump into it and test this out further. All right, so Wukong here, decrease defense and weaken. And let's test out the A3. All right, and do that. Come back out. Let's test it out. 382. That's pretty much in line. That's pretty much in line with Yukimasa's. We're going to keep an eye out for any resisted decreased defense or weakens. This one is missing the decreased defense, so we'll just go back out and try again. No big deal. Decreased defense and weaken, and then we'll try the A3 again. Just get a consistent baseline. 380. Again, very similar to what Yukimasa is doing. This one's missing weaken. Let's try again one more time. But I'm pretty convinced that it's basically the same. I think we're missing weaken there as well. This one should be slightly less damage, 370, exactly. So again, this one's probably going to be about 380. So very similar, if not the same. So we can kind of deduce that the A2 here for Yukimasa is probably going to be a 3.8x multiplier or similar, 3.8, 3.9, 3.7, somewhere around there, which puts it in line with how much damage Wukong's A3 does, his basically strip and block buffs. Personally speaking, I think that's very reasonable considering that Yukimasa's A2 is a revive ability and a CC ability as well, and it ignores block damage. I think that's quite a bit of value if it has the same multiplier as Wukong, so at 3.8. Let's test out the A2 on the Wukong and then see how well he stacks up against Yukimasa's A3 single target hit. It's a little bit different how it works, but sorry, I missed the weekend on the Chagar there. We're going to target the Chagar, but Wukong's A2 has a 50% ignore defense on it as well. So you can look here, it does have a 50% ignore defense, so it's kind of similar to Yukimasa's defense equalizing, but I think the defense equalizing probably removes more defense than 50% ignore defense. So we know that Wukong's A2 multiplier is 5x, okay? Let's see how much damage he can do on this attack. 190. So he's doing 190 on that single hit. Go back in, test it again. This looks like it's going to do slightly more damage than Yukimasa's A3 single target hit. So this is 176. Then we'll go back in again. So 176 to 190. All right, again, 188. So I'm going to say somewhere around 185 would probably be a rough average for him. 174. So 180, 185, right? In general. We can kind of see here that Yukimasa's single target hit is 165. So, sorry, I'm just going to increase the stats here. So there you go. Yeah, so you can kind of see here that Yukimasa's A3 is doing less damage than Wukong's A2. So his single target attack is not as powerful as Wukong's. It's a little bit difficult to obviously get an accurate reading on his A3 in terms of what his multipliers are, but I suspect they're probably going to be less than 5x, which is what Wukong's is. Considering that Yukimasa's defense equalizing ability removes probably more defense than Wukong's 50% ignore defense. And on top of that, Yukimasa is getting a damage boost here by probably 40% because of the turn meter being stolen. So he's getting that boost. He's negating more defense on his A3, but his damage is not as high as Wukong's A2. So we can kind of probably guess this is probably like a 4.5. I'm going to say probably around a 4.5x multiplier on his A3. So his A3 is not going to smack super, super hard, but his A2, his AoE here, I think is very, very good value. And I think a lot of people will be really interested in this, obviously because he is one of the only revivers for the Shadowkin, which is really, really important, especially if you're still trying to 3-star content in Faction Wars. This guy could be invaluable for you guys. He also brings a bunch of utility as well. Obviously with the debuffs here is very, very good. He's not just a damage dealer. So anyways, let's load him back up with Helm Smasher and bring him into the arena and see if he can actually do some work there. We'll swap the gear back on him as well. Take Wukong's gear, and yeah, let's bring him into the arena and see how well he does. All right, let's take him in a generic speed team here. We do have plus attack here from the Arbiter. Let's see how well he can perform. Can he smack dead a arena team? Let's check it out here. Not the best team here against Gizmat. Obviously, HP burn's going to be a little bit annoying. Weak hitting as well. Let's check out the A2 here. We do have plus attack. Let's see if we can kill some stuff. And I mean, it's a 3.8 multiplier. It's not horrible, but it's not going to be lighting people up, right? As we all know with Wukong's, A3, it doesn't really just one-shot teams. You obviously use it for its other intangible abilities. In this case, he does have a CC and he does have a revive, which is amazing. So let's test out his A3 here. How much damage will it actually do against basically non-PvE champions, so PvP champions? Can we kill, let's say, this Warlord? Warlord has tons of turn meter here. We're going to steal it all and then whack him dead, all right? Let's see. We got plus attack on as well. Stolen, and 181. That is a big hit. That's a big hit. 181 on a single target. I mean, yeah, it's big. It's big, especially since he has no blessing. He has no relic. So it's actually pretty decent. I'm actually impressed by that big hit there. Let's duck out of this real quick. So against this Warlord, I imagine his Warlord is probably between like 3 and 4K. 3 and 4K defense. And then once we did the equalizing defense ability, we have 2.2K defense. So it brought it down to 2.2K. And then, of course, the turn meter, he's almost at 100% turn meter. So we just boosted our damage by 100%. So that's a pretty big smack there, right? Let's actually go back in here and try again. Let's do this against, let's do his A3. I think his A3 is the most interesting part of his kit, actually. But let's do his A3, and let's see if we can do it against a champion that has low turn meter and see how much damage he actually does. Let's go shut you down. Okay, actually, let's try this. So now he does have champions that are feared. So we now have an irresistible block active skill, which is super annoying for this guy. Block active skill. Oh, affinity. So wait, no, that's not true. Not affinity. How come these two didn't happen? Oh, it's a 40% chance? No, that doesn't make sense. No, excuse me. You still have the chance, 40% chance, but then you don't require the accuracy anymore. So unfortunately, it's not 100% land. So it's still only 40%, but you just don't require the accuracy. Okay, so that kind of makes sense why these two didn't get block active. Okay, let's try again. I want to test it out against a low turn meter champion. We'll shut him down. Oh no. Here? Yes, good, good. Okay, let's try against this Lazurius here. And we'll steal his turn meter. We got plus up attack. And then we'll bring his defense down to us. So our defense is 2.2. So we brought the Warlord's defense down to 2.2. And in this case, we'll bring Lazurius's defense down to 2.2. Or maybe in some cases, it'll go up to 2.2. Who knows? That could be a bad thing. But either way, he has low turn meter. So we'll see how much damage he actually does against Lazurius with low turn meter. But his defense will be the same as Warlord's, right? So masteries and stuff will, can mitigate some damage that way, but the defense is the same. So let's see, 1 time speed. Low turn meter steal, 117. So it seems like the turn meter steal part of it, it makes up quite a bit of the damage difference. So you get a lot more value if you target somebody with high turn meter. Okay, that's very interesting to know. Let's duck out of here and find another fight. All right, let's test against Ian's team here. So another speed race. All right, let's go back in. Plus attack. Lockout. Everybody's locked out. Okay, so now we got the A2. So this is the freeze ability. We could try to just delete somebody here. Let's try to just delete the Gizmat. That might be good. Okay, let's try that. We do have accuracy requirements here. Nobody is under any kind of CC. Okay, let's do the A2. Pull it down and attack. Big turn meter steal, 210k. Okay, so the turn meter steal is the big driver of the damage here. I'm pretty sure. Big driver of the damage here. 210k, that's a big smack. Again, we have no blessing, no relic. So it's a huge, huge smack. Huge, huge smack. All right, that's really good to know. That's really good to know. Okay, so this bit, I mean, we can kill stuff. Revive's not going to get any value. We cannot freeze the horse, so that kind of sucks. Can we kill the Fabes? Let's try. Nope. We weak hit against Fabian. Okay, stuff's dying. That sucks. Okay, let's try this. And oh, check that out. The we were CC'd. Builds his champion's turn meter by 50% if they skip a turn because of stun, freeze. So that was pretty big. So whenever this champion skips a turn because of one of those debuffs, then I think we get 50% attack here. So I'm not too sure. Let's try A1 with plus attack and 22, 23k. Not very huge at all. I think that's what happened. I think the passive activated and then we got a little bit of turn meter there. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Him down. Okay, or was it Sifi? Maybe it was Sifi's passive removing fear, but yeah, it might have been Sifi's passive removing fear as well. So right now, horse is sleeping, so we have the accuracy condition checked off. We can block active skills, 40%. 54k hit there. That's pretty strong. It was actually just CP's passive. We do have a 50% chance of removing the fear, so that's probably what happened with that. So he removed the fear there, so that worked out. I don't think he's going to perform very good against the turtles. He does have block actives, but he has no way of stripping stuff. There's no block damage here. Let's find a block damage team and then see how well we can do against those guys. All right, let's bring him in here. Let's do a Taras Marichka fight. A bunch of block damage here as well. So from the Odin. So let's check this out. Let's see how well we can do here. Let's try to utilize the A2 a little bit. Okay, so we go first. That's great. A little lockout action here. A bunch of resist. That feels bad. And we got locked out. So Yumiko resisted us. That feels kind of bad. Let's try again. Try again here. We gotta lock her out. Okay. Okay, this time we locked her out. Okay, so Stone Skin's still on Taras. That really sucks. Let's see if we can just delete this Odin. That would be good, I think. And we do 86k. I don't think we stole the turn meter there. I think we didn't do the accuracy check, so I don't think we stole the turn meter. Revive here. Use turn meter. And yes, we'll just shut down Richka. Okay. Sleep him. Oh, nope, that didn't work out. And we get and then we get locked out, and then all sorts of bad things are happening. Okay, that feels bad. Okay, let's try again. Okay, this time I'm gonna kill the Yumiko and then let the block damage come through, and then see what we can do with the A2. I'm gonna kill Yumiko there, 122k damage. It's tough. Trying to survive is really tough. And then we're just gonna get blasted here by the AoE. That sucks. Okay, at least he's locked out, so that's good. I'm gonna sleep you. There you go. Team revive. Okay. Sleep you. Okay, block damage time. Okay, block damage time. Don't cleanse. Okay, block damage time. Let's see what we can do here with his A2 against block damage. And the accuracy condition is checked off, so everybody should be frozen here. Yikes. I thought there was, yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm not too sure what happened there. Not too sure what happened there. Kind of interesting. I was expecting the full team to be frozen. I guess maybe we got wanded. 100% chance to freeze. One turn cannot be resisted if there's at least one enemy under stun or sleep or whatever. Yeah, the Odin was sleeping, so we should have landed 100% chance to freeze unless we got wanded. We could have got wanded twice. We got wanded twice. It would have been a little bit bad. And Yukimasa has the same issue that Sir Nick does with the irresistible. Well, not the same exact issue as Sir Nick, but Sir Nick has the unblockable, unresistible freeze from the A1 when it gets wanded back. Then he gets frozen for sure. Yukimasa can still put block debuffs and block the freeze when it comes back. So that's probably what happened. He had the block debuffs up, and then the wands send the freeze back to him, and then nothing happened. So a little bit sucky, but I like the block damage. He went through the block damage to kill the Odin. That was kind of nice. We haven't really had an opportunity for him to stay alive and then able to revive anybody. Now, we did give his A3 a good playthrough. I think it's decent. I think it's definitely decent. It can do some decent damage, can delete some champions, I think, if they have decent turn meter. The skip turn mechanic is a little bit interesting. We haven't had an opportunity for that to happen as well. All right, I just wanted to test out his revive here. So this one is going to be, if I don't kill anybody, then we're going to get one random ally back. Just want to test it out in terms of the animation as well. Let's see how well it does. And we don't kill anybody, and it just instantly guy comes back. Damn, that's great value. That's great value. You get a CC ability, you get an ability that hits actually not too badly, and it goes through block damage, and you get a random revive champion back. That's great value for this ability. All right, good to see it in action. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for this showcase here. In terms of his overall kit, we did basically show most of it. The ones that we weren't able to actually show properly were probably this skip a turn ability. Now, it's not going to happen too often for this champion because I feel like this champion, as a squishy damage dealer, probably won't get an opportunity to get back. If he misses a turn, he's probably in trouble and he's probably not going to get a chance to get the effect off. But maybe I'm wrong, since the A1 activates when they skip a turn. So maybe the A1 shuts down the enemy, but still, even if the enemy A1's Yukimasa afterwards, he probably won't be able to get back to his turn again. It's just very unlikely, so I'm not going to put too much value into this secondary condition here. But we did test out most of his other abilities, and I think overall, I think he's a pretty good champ. He has a great value potential in his A2. Like I said, a 3-turn AoE attack that goes through block damage with a freeze. So just that is already insane. And it revives a random ally, no conditions. That's insane value. And with the condition met, he can revive and basically, you know, save you that entire fight by resurrecting your whole team. Now, this secondary condition is very, very, very conditional because he is, you know, a squishy damage dealer. It's very unlikely that he survives until the end as the last remaining member to revive your whole team. So I would not put much stock in using him as a team reviver. But I would say his damage is good enough that you would probably want to build him as a damage dealer. If you want to go a totally kind of, you know, off the beaten path kind of route, you could probably try to build him as a support champion. His base stats are not great for a support champion because he has low HP. He is, you know, A3 ability, equalizes target's defense whether you want it to or not. So you don't really build him with super tanky support stats, but you can definitely build him with less damage and kind of just use him for his CC abilities and then his random revive. That could be useful. So you don't have to commit any damage gear to him, but I think he hits hard enough that putting damage gear on him makes sense. Now, we did see that his A1 does, you know, work as advertised, 40% chance of landing block active skills. And then you can basically forego accuracy if you can land any of this CC stuff on one enemy. We put him with teams that had some CC already, and he does provide his own CC. So it's actually kind of nice. It's actually, the condition is met relatively consistently. So it really comes down to how many other CC champions you have, how comfortable you are with building him with low accuracy. For our test, he only had 200 accuracy, and he was landing CC effects fine, and then we were running CP as well, and then the sleeps were happening as well. Keep in mind that sheep and stuff will make it a little bit more difficult for you to land that kind of crowd control. And his A3 was impressive when you can target a champion with high turn meter. Now, like I said, his multiplier is probably not going to be higher than Wukong's 5x. I would say it's probably comparable, and I would say his AoE is comparable to Wukong's as well. I think this ability does have the opportunity to be very powerful. It does steal the turn meter as well, which is very good. It does shut down one champion, for example. And it's only on a 3-turn cooldown, so you can cycle this back over and over again. What's really missing from this guy's kit is some way to survive. Like, if he received fatal damage, put an unkillable buff on himself, put a block damage buff on himself, whatever. Do something to keep himself alive. That would be absolutely amazing, because that would allow him to be the last member of the team so that he can save your whole team. Just an example. So perhaps you could gear him in Swift Parry. Swift Parry kind of works. Gives him a chance to get the unkillable buff when receiving fatal damage. That could be a way to build him out as well, and give him, you know, a chance to get maximum value from the team revive here. The other thing you could probably do is with the relic, you could go for like a cheat death relic, for example, like Aspect of Suroth. You could go with Aspect of Suroth. You could go with the amulet, the Ninja Turtle amulet that we had, the Last Laugh amulet. That could potentially give him the opportunity to be, you know, a reviver role. I still think that's going to be quite difficult for him to fulfill. For me, he's going to be a good damage dealer. He brings CCs. He's a reviver for the Shadowkin faction. He's also going to be a attack-based champion that you can kind of use in Centrano stages, like a force attack champion that has CC, that has a revive, and that bringing that to a Centrano stage with a restricted condition, for example, would be really, really useful, especially if you need a revive. He could also be very good in Grim Forest, for example, as well, because he does bring damage, he does bring a freeze, and he also brings a revive, which can be very, very good as well, especially if you're lacking. And having champions that can do multiple things is really good for these very restrictive areas like Cintranos, like Grim Forest. So I think he has a lot of value there, not just in Faction Wars. He can definitely help you in a lot of different areas. I think the big thing that he's probably not going to be very good in is probably like the bosses, clan boss, Hydra, and stuff like that. But waves, he's great. Cintranos, Faction Wars, Grim Forest, he'll be great. Overall, I think he's a very, very good fusion, and I think he's definitely worthwhile looking into for any account progress levels. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Yukimasa here, Demon of Ice. What do you think about him? Are you guys planning to go for him? Do you guys have any suggestions on what you guys want to do with him, or how do you guys build him out? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, would really help me out. Thanks for watching until the end. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.